All right, we're live on Facebook now, guys. Woo woo! All right, all right, all right. Bruce, you ready?
Yeah, can you mute one of the other lines because there's an echo.
It's an echo. All right, let's see here.
I think you're good now. All right, we good.
Can you hear me, Bruce? Yes.
Much
Awesome.
better.
All right. Angel White.
Hey.
Okay. All right, guys. We're a little late, but you know, it happens and we keep it moving. So this is episode 3 of Night Owl Talk, and we have our special guest host, Mr. Bruce Lee Rochester, also known as Mr. Gold Lambo. Ooh, I love that. All right, my daughter saw the picture today. She's like, we know him. I'm like, yes, baby, we do know him. All right. So, Angel.
Yes, ma'am.
What are we talking about today?
So the topic of the day, I'm excited because, like she said, they call him Mr. Gold Lambo, but he didn't always start that way, right? So we're talking about purpose tonight because everybody, we already know everyone has a reason to being on this earth. Everybody's got purpose. So tonight, the topic is purpose for Mr. Bruce Lee Rochester. I'm so excited. I'm excited to see what he's got to say about it and to see, the knowledge and the wisdom he's going to drop on us on tonight.
Ooh.
All right.
Got some fire tonight.
Yes.
So Bruce, we're going to, we know you very well. You're one of our mentors. You're very much respected in the industry. You have a multi-million-dollar business, but not everyone here on Facebook knows who you are. And if they don't, shame on them. But we want to hear a little bit about you, what your story is, where you came from, and where, what you've gone through to get to where you are now with all of your success.
Wow. Okay. Well, where do I start? Well, thank you for having me on tonight's show. I'm honored and, humbled to be on here to share my story. Maybe give a little bit of wisdom. I'm super excited, but, most people don't know that I'm a high school dropout. I live down here in sunny South Florida. I worked many, many jobs. My mom worked 2 jobs for 20 years. I'm the oldest of all 3 of my brothers. I don't come from money. I'm pretty sure maybe most of us don't come from money, but I wasn't one of them. We used to live paycheck to paycheck. My father wasn't around. So my mother was, of course, a single mother growing up, and I had to be like the provider. I started working at an early age. One of my first jobs was at Burger King and McDonald's. And with Burger King, I quit that because I couldn't have it my way. So when I quit that job, I started working for another company called the Missing Children Awareness Foundation. And I became missing as well because I quit that job. And I started another job, and that was a call center job. And I was paid on Friday, broke by Saturday, overworked, underpaid. And 2008 happened. You guys knew what happened in 2008, right? The crash happened. So long story short, I found myself in a dark place. I was broke, busted, and disgusted. And I wanted something where I could provide more time for my kids. I got introduced in the network marketing industry, and the rest was history. I've been financially free since 2000. I haven't worked a job since 2014. And
wow.
Yeah, that's awesome.
This is where I am today.
God has
diamond in the rough, going through it and chasing that purpose.
Facts.
Oh, absolutely. It got to a point where I just got tired of watching my kids. I had lost my car. Guys, I lost my car. I lost, my place. I lost my friends. I guess they didn't believe in my vision. But the one thing I never lost was my faith.
Amen.
So, I thank God every single day for where I am today. I have a lot of gratitude, and I always say, your attitude should be gratitude.
Mm.
And you walk.
Exactly.
So I'm excited. Yep, that's my story.
Oh, awesome, awesome. So, guys, there you go. A little bit about his backstory and what he's gone through. Some hurdles here and there, but you know what? He stuck to it. He kept going, and he had that purpose to go ahead and overcome all these obstacles. He wanted to definitely be the king and have it his way, so he made it happen. So, what exactly clicked inside of you to not give up and to keep going?
Well, I told all my friends that I was going to be rich.
That's dope.
And since I told everyone that I was going to be rich, I didn't want to look stupid telling them that I found this opportunity where we can be financially free. And they all laughed at me. So I'm a person like, I don't want nobody laughing at me and telling me I look stupid. So I wanted to prove them wrong so bad that this industry of network marketing was not perfect, but it was better. It was better than working a 9 to 5. It was better than working till I was 65. I just looked at it as my way of retiring early. So when they used to see me coming to work, they're like, why are you so happy? Because I'm gonna be out of here. And they'd be like, man, Bruce, you crazy. You gonna be clocking in just like us. I said, okay. And I just wanted to prove everybody wrong. That was it. That's why I never gave up, because I wanted to prove people wrong.
Exactly.
It.
So that your value was more than just the title that you had at the moment. It's where you were then, but it was, your current destination is not your final destination. And that's definitely something that you had in mind. That's just something that, people need to go ahead and keep that in mind in their situations. If they're somewhere where they don't want to be, it's not where you're going to be. It's not the end game. And you can always change where you are. So, I heard something about Bruce.
What you heard about me? What you heard about me?
I heard, anonymous sources that you started, for a while doing the business, and then you took a what we could like to call a hiatus for a little bit.
He went ghost.
So, times going through it, it's painful starting a business. It's not all fun and games, rainbows and butterflies and unicorns. So how did you rebound and get back from starting a business, starting in the network marketing industry, and then having to kind of take a break and reflect? What did you do to go ahead and jump back in and go even harder?
All right, let me tell you what the story and how that happened. All right, so first of all, let me break this down. I never really gave up on the industry of network marketing. When I found the credit repair industry, FES for short, Alfred shared it with me, and we all signed up. But I was already in another network marketing company. So before FES, our goal, our motive was to sign up with our own credit repair company. And the lady was going to teach us how to do it for $10,000. That was her franchise fee. So when we saw this, it was like, okay, should we do the 288 or should we do $10,000?
Big difference.
So we chose the 288. We came in, and I was like, okay, we were all in this group chat, and we were like, well, we're not going to promote nothing unless we know it worked. So after 45 days, we started seeing the results. Alfred's score went up 70 points. My score went up like 45, 50 points. So I was like, cool. And they were like, well, I'm going to start promoting it. So I was like, well, I don't want to. I was already in momentum in another company. I was doing Forex, and I didn't want to mislead people. So I said, well, Alfred, you guys go ahead and let me know how that worked out. 6 months later, Alfred started making 15 grand a month. My Forex business was going backwards. This is about 6 months later. He was already VP in the company. He was doing about 15 to 20,000 a month. And he told me to come to his new condo. And I was like, you don't live with your mom no more? He's like, no. And I was like, He's like, yeah, I got a place in Brickell. Brickell? I ain't went to school. So that's when I was like, after I went to his place, I was like, all right, what do I have to do? I'm tired. I don't want to watch you make all this money in front of me. Show me what I got to do, and I'm all in.
Amen. I love it. So I love that story because it just shows how you know, at first you weren't sure what you were gonna do really. You found the Forex, and
Oh yeah.
then you found our business, FES. So we want to know, how do you speak to someone, or what would you say to someone who feels discouraged, even though they're living and they're working in their purpose? So the theme of the show today is purpose. What would you say to somebody who is feeling discouraged, even though they might be living in their purpose, even though they might be working in their purpose? What kind of advice would you give to that person?
So someone that's feeling discouraged as far as in their business at the time?
Yes.
Well, I mean, you want to look at it like any type of new career or job. In the beginning, you're not going to know everything. And the one who knows everything knows nothing. Don't get discouraged. Just be a student. You want to take this like you're going to school. When you go to school and you're going for a new career, whether it's nursing, it takes 2 years to get your associate's degree. You're not getting paid while you're going to school. Are you? No. Do you feel like giving up? Yes. But you got to have a vision. Your vision is by the time you get your degree, you're going to get this job that pays you this salary. So when you walk into a business, you're walking in with a vision. Your vision is like, okay, this is not going where I wanted to go. This is not this is my current situation, but it's not my final destination. So you should have a 2 to 4 year game plan. And that's with anything. Like it takes time.
2 to 4 year game plan.
Absolutely. 2 to 3 year game plan.
I love that.
That's my tip to that person. Like, if you don't got 2 years in, if you haven't done every single marketing, you got to learn how to brand. This is not sales. You got to learn how to brand yourself. You got to learn how to create value to the marketplace. If you can't create value and help other people, you don't know what you're offering, or you don't feel confident in your product or service, you're going to struggle in any business that you start up.
Absolutely. And you know, at the beginning, you compared it to going to college, how you're going to be studying and actually, you know, you may be able to get some grants, but you also might get some student loans. You're actually getting yourself into debt without any profit in the process of going to school. And it just reminds me of a story that is in the Bible, actually. Um, was it Joseph? I know you're familiar with the Bible, Bruce. So, you know, Joseph, they had the 7 skinny cows, then they had the 7 fat cows. They had to go ahead and have 7 years of plenty, you know, overgrowth. They had plenty of crops to go ahead and have for themselves and extra. And what they did was they went ahead and saved that. That way, for the 7 years that was tough, they were able to go ahead and have plenty because they saved so much. So it's like, yes, you're not reaping the benefits right away, but as you keep going, as you keep planting those seeds and saving all of that information in your mind, if you keep that purpose in mind, you're going to be able to achieve to a point that you can help yourself, and they helped other nations. You can help others as well. And that's the point where you are right now.
You know, people sometimes, I think they come into chasing the money, but really money don't come from, you know, trees. It comes from people. So you really have to come in with a mindset on, how can I help people? How can I help people position them in a better place? We're basically life coaches in a way, or consultants. You know, the biggest problem for people, I think, is they're trying to sell, 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 sell. And really, selling isn't you talking. Selling is really you asking questions to see what the problem is. Like a doctor, when you go to the doctor, right? What he's going to do, he's going to ask you, okay, doc, I'm not feeling well. Why? Okay, what's going on? He's going to ask you a series of questions. So I think what people need to do is learn how to become a master asker. And I'm telling you, you're going to see a huge difference, because now the person's going to say, this is what's wrong with me. But if you don't ask the right questions, you won't know how to help that person with their problems.
I love that. I love that. And I love the Master Asker. Every time that he does the training on Master Asker, guys, I'm telling you, I got the notes. I'm like, oh my gosh, writing this down. I was looking on the other day, got different notebooks for different things. I remember even a year ago, 2 years ago, he stuck to the same thing, saying the Master Asker is the key. I love it. So earlier, we mentioned, again, you know, you went from being the oldest of 3 brothers, coming from a single mom family, basically struggling, right? Now, people would say that you're living the life, you're living that lifestyle that most people really only dream about. So, of course, we all know the story, right? You got to go to school, you got to get a good job, get good grades, get all these student loans and all this stuff like that, so that you can then get a good job, quote unquote, get a good job, right? And retire after 40 years, maybe, if you're lucky. So what would you say is the new American dream? Because you're living what we would say is a dream, but what's the new American dream? What would you say the new American dream is?
Well, I mean, you know, I will look at it as this way, you know, and I heard this from Tony Robbins. He said the real thing for happiness is one word called progress. As long as you're having progress in your life, whether it's in your career, maybe you want to be a nurse and you see progress in your nursing career, or whether it's you starting a business or your relationship. You see that when people are not happy or they feel discouraged, is because there is a place of you being stagnant, right? Or there is no progress. So look at your career, look at your business. Oh, you're stagnant, now you discouraged. But when there's progress, when there's promotion, when there's movement, you're going forward, you're happy. Everyone's excited, everyone's having a high five. So just always, it doesn't matter how much progress, it could be a small progression, but any inch is an inch and it's some sort of success, which is progress. So don't look at success or happiness as money, but as long as there's progress, you'll be happy.
I like that.
Exactly. And I know we touched base with, you know, the internal change that occurred in you. But what would you say? Because as your business grew, as you became more and more successful, helping different individuals with your business, with the services that you offer, but also helping other entrepreneurs. So, what internal change occurred inside of you to give you that purpose to continue to help others?
That's simple. I see myself in them. I knew what it was like not to have. I know what it's like to grow from a single family home. I know what it's like to grow up, you know, and maybe not the best education, or working a 9 to 5 or a 9 to 9, or having kids and still not being able to provide. So when you come from a place of knowing, and you just feel like, okay, I've been there, I know what it's like. So it's kind of like, I know how you feel. I felt the same way, but what I found was a better way. I found a better way. It's not perfect, but I can guarantee you, if you follow me like Jesus Christ said, I can guarantee you, you're not going to recognize your life.
I like that.
Wow. 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 That was powerful. I had to take a break real quick and just absorb that. That was strong right there. Oh my God.
So you talking about constantly, you know, adding values to people's lives, and I believe that like you know, Z and I, we both look up to you, and I know that there's thousands of people who really do. They look up to you in and outside of the business. What would you what made you realize that your purpose was to aspire future business owners or entrepreneurs? What made you realize that that was, instead of you, because I remember you saying that you smiled and dialed for a long time and that wasn't for you. So what made you realize that this was your purpose, to really aspire other people to become successful entrepreneurs?
Well, one thing that's for me was always helping people. That's something that was always, I used to work for a job, and my job was to raise money for the military Purple Heart and the Vietnam veterans. So I was always helping people. I used to raise money for the Police Athletic League and kids that, you know, just to keep kids off the streets. So, but it wasn't the fact that the job wasn't for me. It was the fact that the time I was exchanging for money wasn't for me. And, you know, one of the most precious commodities is time. So I seen how much time it was taking away from my kids. And I just felt like I was like my dad that wasn't around. I don't care how much money you're paying me. If I'm not around with my kids or for my kids, I guess she's a single mother too. So I didn't want to be in that position, if that makes sense.
Yes, it definitely makes sense. You don't want to repeat the patterns that you've seen from the past and continue to keep passing on those generational curses. I understand that. So as you go ahead, think you have another question for Mr. Bruce?
Yes, I do. So, as you talk about just seeing yourself in others and being able to give others that time freedom, which is what it is. You know, me working a 9 to 5 as a single mom, it's pretty hard, you know, to go ahead and work all day, come home, cook dinner, clean the house, make sure my ADHD child calms down and gets ready for bed at a certain time so she can wake up in the morning and not be grumpy. It's hard out there for parents, man. And especially nowadays with technology and so many things calling our attention and our children's attention as well. You know, being an entrepreneur for me, it is not easy. It is difficult, but you know, that purpose is what drives me. So, what advice would you give to other parents, whether they're in a relationship with somebody else? Because being a parent is difficult, period. But what advice would you give them if they want to go ahead and start their own business, but still maintain that time and family and work and entrepreneur balance in their life? What
Well,
advice would you give to them?
there's going to have to be some sort of sacrifice that I can tell you. You got to have a conversation with your loved one, your spouse, your kids, and you have to let them know that I'm going to be around, but I'm not going to be around for the next 90 days. You have to, there is no like, if you want to be successful at something, you cannot kind of like dabble. You can't tiptoe quietly. You can't like do it a few hours and then, you know, do it when you feel like it, when it's convenient. You have to be like an airplane. You have to go 100 miles an hour. See, when I was building my business in the beginning, it was like, you know, I worked my job, but even though I was at my job physically, I wasn't there mentally. I was always thinking about, okay, when I get home, I'm gonna do this. While I was at my job, I was still working my business. And I would go to bed at like 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, but it was really like a serious grind. Like I worked my business harder than I worked my job. And I was doing it for so long. I remember I was working so hard that I didn't even eat. I was losing weight. My new name was gonna be Bones, Bruce Bones. She cooked dinner and she was like, the food is on the stove, the food's on the, and she was like, now it's getting cold. Because I was talking to so much people, sharing my vision with so much people, telling them like, listen, if you run with me, I can guarantee you, we could do this together. We're gonna kill it with your network, my connection, we're gonna make money. My friend's already doing this. I need someone to do this with me. So I was just so like in a zone. It was like being on a basketball court and I don't see nobody but the hoop.
I love it. I love that. I love that. So basically you went from 0 to 150 all the time. And that's what you got to do, right?
Like, listen, you got to cut out distractions. You got to cut out maybe, listen, name whoever you with, listen, that's a distraction. Gym, that's a distraction. Kids, that's like the kids was there, but I was like, I had to have that conversation. Like I needed help so I can focus on my business. Like you got to find a way to devote a lot of your energy in a short period of time into where you're trying to go. You got to write down your goals. You got to wake up every minute and you just got to be obsessed. It's a certain type of energy. Like it's more than just talking about it. Like you got to see the vision. You got to see people enrolling. You got to see where you're going. And it's got to be like, you got to check your back office. It was an obsession. I don't know how to explain it, but it was a manifestation of obsession that got me to where I am today.
I love that.
You know, January, everybody had their New Year's goals, New Year's resolution. I know, Angel, do you remember last year in 2020 when we had the vision board parties?
Yes.
Back when we could go ahead and be in person, you know, not virtual, pre-COVID, before. So Bruce, when you went ahead and you were working and you were just obsessed with your business, and your purpose was to go ahead and give that time freedom, to go ahead and have that freedom to be able to do what you need to do with your kids, what kinds of things did you keep in your mind to motivate you? What kind of little goals did you take to go ahead and keep you going? Because yes, we know you're Superman, Mr. Lambo,
Hey.
but you are. So what did you envision to keep that purpose and that fire lit up inside of you to keep going?
All right. So first of all, you ever had a magnifying glass, right?
Huh?
And what happened? You ever seen a magnifying glass, right? And you're trying to catch something on fire. What do you have to do to catch it on fire?
Have
You
to
have to
light the right.
you have to pull it back. So whatever is around you that's taking away from your focus, you got to pull back. And you got to be so laser focused on your goal, your vision, where you're going. Like you don't see anything. There's no TV for me. There's no me being comfortable. I remember at one point I told my wife, I was like, I'm not sleeping on the bed because I don't want to be comfortable. I'm not going to sleep on the bed until I hit my goal. I want to be uncomfortable. There's no Netflix. No, I don't need the cable. I don't need none of that. I'm not where I want to be. I purposely want to be uncomfortable so I can be comfortable.
That makes sense.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
There was a lot of things I had to cut out. So you said what motivated me? You just wake up. See, I always say this, without pain, there's no change. Right? Adults, we don't change until there's pain. See, there was a story about a dog that was sitting on a nail, and all he would do is, and he always moan and groan. And the man says, every time I pass by this dog, he's always moaning. He's sitting on this nail. And he's like, why don't you just get up off the nail? And he says, well, because it don't hurt him bad enough to move. See, most people will complain about their life. They will wish for a better life, or they'll hope for a better life. They'll say they're going to do this and this, but they don't make moves. They don't take action. You know why? Because the pain ain't great enough. You ever heard people say, all right, I've had it up to here. You heard that?
Yep.
The pain has to be to a certain level until there's change. Until there's enough pain, you will not change. I had enough.
Wow.
That's
Wow, how to make you full enough so you can move.
And sometimes God will make things happen in your life that will shake you up because he's trying to isolate you to get your attention.
I understand that. Would you say that you've ever had one of those kind of moments where God had to shake you up a little bit?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
You mind sharing with us?
Huh?
You mind sharing that with us?
You
don't have to. You don't have to.
Uh-oh.
That would be another show.
Okay. Understandable. Well, we had a question from the audience real quick. And before we get to one of my favorite questions, I want to ask the audience question. It's coming from Jackie Garcia, ESD. In our business, she's an executive sales director. Shout outs to her. She wants to know, what advice would you give to ESDs? But I also want to know, what advice would you give to people in general who are looking to improve their leadership skills?
Oh, man. That's one of the things you should never stop working on. Leadership. John Maxwell, he writes a lot about leadership. His main thing is leadership. I've read a lot of John Maxwell's books on leadership, irrefutable laws of leadership, and he has a lot of different views on how to become a better leader. Now, there's another book from, I don't think I have it on me right now, but it's from Big Al, how to be a better leader in the network marketing industry. So I'll share it with you shortly, but it kind of talks about how to deal with certain problems that you're going to occur in leadership, people. And you start to realize that no matter what company you're with, there's always going to be problems. and you just got to know how to deal with these problems, no matter what company it is. There's no perfect company. There's no perfect anything. You just got to learn how to just deal with the problems and not, escalate the problems, if that makes sense.
I love it.
Absolutely. There's always situations where, it's challenging. No one's perfect, not even myself. I'm pretty sure you guys agree. You're not perfect either. And just to have that understanding that you need to focus on what the goal is, focus on what your purpose is there. When we go wake up and go to work, when we wake up and work our business, what's the purpose? We're going to help people. Like for me, I say it every single morning. I'm ready to help people with their finances.
Amen.
That's why the financial literacy. That's my purpose. But what is also my purpose? To be able to help my family. So we always have to keep that in mind. It's gonna be tough. Sometimes it's gonna be easy, but we always need to keep focused because if we don't focus and keep that purpose, like you said, all these distractions left and right, whether they're good distractions, new friends, partying, new circles, you're excited, you're fired up. And guess what? You're gonna lose your focus. You're trying to grow your business. Now, if you get too carried away after you become successful, you forget about your family. You have to balance it. You have to realize your purpose and keep that in mind. So that's definitely, a couple points that you touched that I agree with you 100%. I'm so glad you're my mentor. We on the same page.
Funny you said that because we talked about the energy you're going to need to lift off. And once you're in the air, you don't need all that energy anymore. You need the most energy when you're getting off the ground. That's because if you don't devote that energy to get off the ground, you will never get off the ground. You'll just move in circles. So you don't have to go 100 miles an hour all the time. And you was right about that. By the time you get in the air, you can go on autopilot a little bit. And then you're going to need more energy to get back down. And you know how that goes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so, Angel, you have to ask your favorite question. This question she's gonna ask it on every show.
Yes.
Bruce. So we're all of the leaders, all of the leading entrepreneurs. We're gonna hear this. Go ahead, Angel. I'm gonna just let you ask the question.
So listen, okay, because Z and I, when we started talking about this show, we said that we really are looking for two things, right? We want to talk to people who are successful, but not only successful, but God-fearing. Let's be honest. Especially in the industry of network marketing. I feel like this industry, it's special because most of the people that I've run across, they have belief in a higher power. They believe in God. So, and Zaji mentioned it earlier. She said that you're familiar with the Bible, which is important. I believe that's important. So who is your favorite character from the Bible, or what is your favorite Bible story?
The book of Job.
Ooh, this is interesting. I didn't think you were going to tell us why. Please let me know.
Man, well, let's just put it this way.
Expecting that one.
I went from being up here at my sales job, and when that downsized, I remember we had to, move out of my place, and I moved in with my mom, and it was me and my wife and my daughter, and my mom was like, listen, you can't stay here much longer. You got to find somewhere and go. Mm. So we were basically homeless. Mm. So we moved in from my mom to my wife's mom, and we were in a garage, like in a small room. And I remember there was times where I couldn't even afford to buy a box of diapers. And my daughter, we would get the little thing and wrap it around her, and she would have to pee in that. And she would just have to free ball. I know it sounds funny today, but it wasn't funny when I was going through it. Mm. And my wife would bartend at night, and there were times she would come home with like $20 because it was a slow night, $30, and would use that and buy maybe macaroni and we'll get the hot dogs and chop it up, and that was dinner. Then the car transmission broke. We had no car. So now she's asking other people for, it was just one thing after the next, and I felt so low in my life. Like I couldn't provide for my family. I felt like everything was just, my credit score was bad. The lady told me I can't move into the place. I'm stuck. I can't even give her mom rent. I just felt so low as a person. I felt like everything was just being taken away from me. And, you know, I was told to go get a real job. I was told you ain't gonna be nothing but a broke ass. I was just told all of these things. And for me, there's two things that can happen. You can allow that to affect you, to put you in a state of depression, or you can use that to fuel to say, you know what? I'm going to prove everybody wrong. Is this what you really think about me? Okay. All right. I got another game plan. And I was not allowing that energy to depress me. I was going to be like, you know what? I'm going to show everybody that when I make it, y'all go, let's just put it that way. I had a chip on my shoulder. Just put it that way. I had a chip on my shoulder. And yeah, you know, everything has been given back to me times 10. The car, the place, the money, everything times 10. So you just can't lose your faith. Let's put it that way.
Amen.
Very true. I've heard before, raised in church, and one of the things that I like to imagine, and I'm gonna try to describe it as much with words as you can picture it, is when God goes ahead and blesses you, that He sees that you're praying and you're praying. My mother used to tell me that it's like you're filling up a goblet, and the more you pray, the more your family prays for you. It starts to overflow. And then when God opens the heavens to go ahead and bless you, He doesn't just give you, oh, here's one blessing, two blessings, three. He opens up the gates of heaven and He blesses you.
Wow.
And you know what? It's just so inspirational just to hear your story. You're a very humble guy. I've spoken to you multiple times. You're my mentor. And I just appreciate being around you because of the fact that you stay humble no matter how the heights that you're reaching and the success that you're reaching. And that in that alone, that is just so exemplary. Like the story Job, he went through so much. He went through famine, he lost his family, he lost everything. He was alone begging to God, God, why are you doing this to me? But he always remained faithful. And after that, everything got returned to him tenfold. Mm-hmm. So that's awesome. That's awesome. Now I know a fun tip. Job, Bruce and Job.
Yeah, you definitely got to have a really strong mindset. I'm not even gonna lie to you. Like the mindset, because when you're going through it, it could break you down so much, so emotionally, that you're gonna be like, it could affect you to the point where you just stay in a state of depression. So you just got to be mentally tough and believe and have action and don't live in scarcity or fear. When opportunities came, I took my last dollar and I took risks on opportunities. A lot of them didn't pan out. A lot of them don't go my way, but I'm a risk taker. I don't like to just sit around and just wish for things to happen. I will make things happen. I'm supposed to be the man. What do I look like having my wife, the girl the woman I'm supposed to be with, working hard and I'm sitting home? No, I need to figure this shit out. Sorry.
Cool. Keep it.
I need to figure it out. And that is something that I was not going to allow, and I was not going to make excuses. I had to figure it out.
I love it. I love it. Z, I don't really have much else to ask. You know what I mean? Like, the only other thing we had was like, what advice would you give to those struggling to find their purpose? But I think that you kind of already answered that. Did you want to add anything else though, Bruce?
I mean, as long as you love helping people, that's why I love what we do, because it's really, we're just helping people. And you gotta have an attention to say, okay, you gotta be a good listener too. I gotta emphasize. I think a lot of people are really not good listeners. They're good talkers, which is great, but you gotta work on how to listen. Talk less and listen more. That's why God gave you 2 ears and 1 mouth. so you can listen as much as you talk. All right. So I had to, you just got to learn how to be a good listener and figure out identify what that person's problem is, and create a game plan. That's why I said we're life coaches. That's it. We set people up. We put them in a better position to win.
Absolutely. Yes, yes, yes. And you have that drive. You have that drive and you see it in others and you let them know, listen, I know you have that drive. I know you haven't given up because I've seen you struggling. But you know what? Let's do this. Let's take it to the next level. And that's why God blesses you. God blesses you for motivating and blessing others. It may not be materialistically, but you give them something that, they say, don't give me the fish, teach me what, don't give me the fish, teach me how to fish.
Right.
And that's what you're giving the people. That in itself is priceless.
Man, I'm loving it like McDonald's right now.
I love it.
Oh my goodness.
You just gotta have fun. You gotta have fun, and you just gotta, like I said, just know your purpose. And if your purpose, this is another form of ministry. Some people think that ministry is, going out and, just delivering the word of God, but this is another form of ministry, and I call it the financial literacy ministry. There's a lot of people in the church that are suffering from the lack of knowledge. It says that's the reason why my people shall perish, lack of knowledge. We can't be going to church and be sanctified with the Holy Ghost if we still lack knowledge of how to find money, how to grow money, and how to keep money, pay lower taxes. And even if it's not in a business, listen, we got to have something set up for our children's children. It's not about just you. It's about us. It's about we. And I have a passion in putting people in a position to create generational wealth. And that's why I love what we do.
Absolutely. Working in the finance industry for what, 5-6 years now, I've seen so many people on a daily basis, and I still do. And it's just crazy. They have no idea how finances work. They have no idea how to get out of that hole. And the only reason, they make enough income to get out of it, but they don't know how to manage it. And something I heard before in one of my motivational speakings that I love to hear is people spend, the average person spends 40 hours working for money. But how many hours do they invest in seeing where that money goes and planning where it's going to go? Because they become a slave to money, working, 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 and they just pay whatever they can, but they don't think about, hey, but how does this work? I see these people, they earn almost the same, if not a little bit less than I do, and their life status or, the way their quality of life is better than mine. And a lot of people don't have that knowledge. And without that knowledge is power. And it's not just the saying, it's the truth. I came from poverty, oldest kid out of 6, single mom. She didn't work, on welfare, Section 8, you name it. But you know what changed? She could not teach me anything about finances because she had no knowledge. She taught me about God. She taught me about being a good person, having a good character, helping out others in need. She taught me all of those things that, are not materialistic. But however, if she had the knowledge to teach me about finances, saving, credit, starting to build credit, the path to home ownership, I would have been on a whole nother level. But you know what? I'm grateful to God because all of the things that we went through and the success that we're getting, the success you already have, is to go ahead and help other people.
Absolutely. I mean, you're so right about that. They don't teach us that. We learn ABC, not RBC, which is real estate, business, and credit.
I think I tell people all the time, I got a theory on the reason why they don't teach us that. And the one example I give is think about how much millions of dollars we pay on overdraft fees, billions of dollars these banks make on overdraft fees. So that means that you're basically charging people who are already broke.
That was me.
So
that was definitely me. I was always in overdraft. I would literally ask them not to deposit my check in the bank, to give me the check so I could go to the check cashing store and cash the check. Because if it went in the bank, they would have ate the whole check. And that was my life for years.
Wow. Look at you now.
Yeah.
I mean,
So Bruce, what my Angel had her favorite question. I'm gonna ask my favorite question. You know I'm a nerd. What's your favorite book? Period.
my favorite book was Rich Dad Poor Dad because I needed to understand that opened up my mind to the next, which was cash flow quadrant. And, I needed to understand where I was in life, which was an employee. And, a lot of us be like, okay, I want to start my own thing. And I started doing drop shipping with eBay. I started selling stuff as an entrepreneur, but I never knew that I was really just self-employed. I didn't really own a business. My business owned me, which means like I was married to my job or married to my company. And when we ran our company called Mixed Bartenders, we didn't really run our own business. They did. So once I learned the word leverage, which was when you got into network marketing, you start leveraging. I was like, okay, wow, leverage. So now you start looking for things that have leverage, where you can buy your time back instead of trading the time. And that book taught me that a lot. And he's big on in real estate. He's big on assets. We were taught that your house is an asset. When I learned that really an asset is something that puts money in your pocket. A liability is something that takes money out. Okay, I thought a house, my mom was always telling me, buy a house, buy a house, buy a house, buy a house. But I didn't understand that that was a liability, if that makes sense. So it was just learning the difference between assets, liabilities, and good debt and bad debt. And that's one of my favorite books because I really didn't have that knowledge.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Listen, Z, I don't have any other questions. I just want to say thank you so much for coming on to our show. I do remember, I don't even know how many years ago. This was probably like 2-3 years ago when I first started the business, and we met at what was the restaurant that we always used to go off of Fowler? Oh my gosh, it was I can't even remember the name of it. But you had did
Miller's.
Which one?
Miller's.
Miller's, yes, that's it. That's the one. We used to go to Miller's Ale House all the time after the Super Saturdays, after we used to have the events. And I remember Bruce, he was, like she said, humble. I remember he had like all these questions, he emailed them to me, and I just thank you. Like, honestly, I want to thank you. Now that I have the platform to say it publicly and just to tell you, I'm grateful for you because there are some people, a lot of leaders who, they say that they're servant leaders and it looks good. It's cute, right? It sounds cute. But then when you ask them a question, it's like you never hear from them after that. They say publicly, I'll help you. Hit me up when you need me. And then you hit them up and it's like crickets. But you showed, to me, that was showing that you are truly a servant leader. And so I just really want to thank you. I thank God for you for just, sharing the knowledge that you did with us tonight, but really just for what you do and for paving the way, not only for me and Z, but for the people who are coming after us. I thank you so much, Bruce. God bless you and your family. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Looks like we got another question too from the
out of your night and just dropping those nuggets, as we like to say, that information and that purpose with us. Thank you so much.
We got one last question. So it looks like Ms. Garcia wants to know, what are your goals, Bruce, for 2021? How are you going to blow it up this year?
I do have a couple goals. My goals is to invest into real estate, definitely. And, I want to put more people in position to keep on winning. And I want to create more leaders. I want to create more people with more open businesses. Like, this is a great way to start. I want to put people in positions to accomplish their goals. Like I have a young lady on my team. She wants to open up a building for domestic abuse. She needs the funding, and the property it's about $1.2 million is what she's going to need for this property. So our goal, our mission is to put ourselves in a better position to her getting her credit score not only where it needs to be, but to make enough money to where she can get this building to accomplish her goals. But it's just, I'm gonna continue just helping people, man. It doesn't matter whether you're from Yale or from jail, whether you're on my team or from, another team. I remember when I was in my early years of network marketing, and I remember I was struggling 3 years and had not one person on my business. And I would reach out to other uplines, and they would be like, who's your leader? Who's your mentor? Oh, go back to him, go back to her. And nobody would help me. And I said, this is crazy. Nobody wants to help me. My mentor he doesn't know what he's doing. And I went for 3 years, and I said, you know what, God, if I ever get this thing, which I will, I said, but when I do, I'll never forget where I came from. So when you guys reach out to me, I see myself in you. I was once there.
And by the way, I did send you a friend request, so please accept it. If I gotta take it off and add it again, I will do it.
Sometimes I get a lot of those, so it's all good.
Angel White, she got a yellow blazer on.
Okay. I got you.
The color of happiness, okay? Well, guys, that was episode of Night Owl Talk with Bruce Lee Rochester and the lovely Angel White and myself, Zida Jesus. I hope you guys tune in. We're going to have another wonderful, successful, inspirational guest, and we're just super excited to continue this show. If you have anybody that you want us to interview, go ahead and drop in the comments or shoot us a DM so we can go ahead and put them on the calendar. Anyways, you guys, God bless. Have a great night. Tomorrow's Friday. Angel, Bruce, you know what time it is. All right, guys. Have a great night. God bless.
Good night.